Hi there. I'm in Missouri at the University of Missouri today through the weekend. A couple more screencasts to guide us through today's content, make sure that we keep the course moving. Today, we're going to talk about broadcast writing style technique. Before I get to that, just like I normally would do, I have a few announcements, and then I would presume that when you watch this, you'll have gone through the news discussion. And so I would hope that you're actually discussing the news too. I usually send an email to the folks who are responsible for the day's content to drive the discussion just to see how it went. I know that I'm not there to make sure that everyone's participating, and I know that I'm not there to push forward some of the questions that I usually ask. But by now, some of you should be able to do that, and start, talking about the merit, the value of that news. So I hope that those conversations are happening and it's not just a laundry list of what's going on, but more importantly why that matters, the impact that it might have on you or it might have on the community. So that's kind of what I'm hoping is happening. And so the folks who were leading the discussion today, I'll be sending you an email just checking up on how things went. And then today, as I mentioned, broadcast writing is on the agenda. I did revise the course syllabus. There's nothing really major in there. I just needed to adjust the number of AP style quizzes. In short, we're not going to have as many as I originally planned because you haven't had one in a while. However, I will click on this. You do have one. Today is October 15. It's Thursday, so most of those AP style quizzes that I've given you have been over the weekend, and you will have another one regarding plurals, 5 questions, and that will be due through Blackboard next Tuesday, October 20, by the start of class at 11. So we're back on task with those AP style quizzes. And then really there's nothing else that's changed in the course syllabus schedule. We've pretty much got it mapped out from here to the end. The other thing that I might mention, and then my graduate assistant Samantha should hopefully have printed this out and then can distribute it. I would like each one of you to sign up for a time on either Tuesday, October 27th or Thursday, October 29th. Uh, those are the 2 days that I've set aside to meet with each one of you for a short period of time to go over one or two key questions that you want to ask or that you want to discuss regarding that end of semester outline. And so, as a reminder for your out of class assignments, um, first of all, you will have an exercise related to today's content that I'll get into momentarily on broadcast style writing. I have a style exercise that I would like you to complete by next Tuesday. So that is your other assignment for over the weekend besides the AP style quiz. But don't forget, hanging out there, you still have this strategy assignment. And this will be due whichever day you sign up for. So that's why it's Tuesday the 27th or Thursday the 29th. And it will be a hard copy. And I'm going to go back to this chart. I would like you to sign up for just one time. And as I've mentioned in here, have one or two questions, key questions related to that document in mind that you want to ask. Because since there are 20 of you and I only have 2 class sessions allocated for this, I basically have up to 7 minutes that I can spend with each one of you. So my guess is that I can discuss at length one question, maybe two, but if we get more than that, I'm probably going to bleed over into somebody else's time, and I don't want to do that. So you have your choice, Tuesday or Thursday, but I would like everybody to sign up at least once, and there should be exactly 20 slots available for this end of class meeting, this individual meeting that we decided we would do. So that should go around while you're watching the rest of these screencasts about broadcast style writing technique. So speaking of that, I already talked about your quiz, your other out of class assignment, your homework for the weekend. I will be back on Tuesday and it will be business as usual. So I can tell you that much. But as far as in class goes, well, that's the in-class assignment, sorry. What I want is this course materials link. There we go. When we scroll down to the bottom, I've added two more items. The one that you'll want to use, and if you're not already logged into Blackboard, you might go in and take a look at this because I have a document here that should help you as we go through this screencast. And this is going to be the document that I'm going to be using, that I'm going to be filling out as I talk to you about broadcast writing technique. And so what I've done is I've basically given you the framework that will guide these screencasts, the ones that will occur here. I think I'll be able to do this in the rest of this 15-minute part, and then I don't know. I may have another part, 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes would be my guess when I go through this. But the point is that you've got some examples in here, so you can actively be filling this out and creating for yourself your own notes that will be useful for your exercise that you complete over the weekend as homework. So I'm going to close this out, but this is under course materials. It's toward the bottom. This is the link that you're going to want to go to. And then the very bottom link, that is for the broadcast reader example. I'll click on that just to show you momentarily what this is. Eventually, I'm not going to have you do anything over the weekend related to this. First, I want to make sure that you understand the style points that we're going to talk about today. But then on Tuesday, when I get back, I'm probably going to have you do an in-class writing assignment of a broadcast reader, which looks a lot like this. And that's why I provided this example, so you can kind of see where we're going. Where are we going with broadcast writing? This will be the last unit that we cover for this class. Obviously, we did print your event-based news stories and some features. We also talked a little bit about online digital packaging, and now we're into broadcast writing. So this document is designed to give you an example of a broadcast reader. Now, there's obviously more to broadcast writing than just a reader. This would be the equivalent whenever you've watched broadcast news and the anchor has one of those, well, I guess it would be probably over this side. Well, I don't know. It's either over this side or this side. I'm trying to look into my camera and figure it out. But the bottom line is they have a graphic over their shoulder. And it's actually called an over-the-shoulder graphic or an OTS graphic. Usually that's what they'll do, and then they'll be reading the story in the teleprompter right into the camera. And usually it lasts about 25, 30 seconds. That's basically the extent of what I'm going to have you do in this class. After that, yes, you have entire VOSOTs, voiceover sound on tape. You have pre-packaged recordings that will be mapped out, written out, and that's going to be beyond the scope of News 105. So you don't have to worry about that. But you will be doing a reader. I want you to at least have that practice, and that's pretty simple. So that's an example that's in there in preparation for Tuesday's class. So I think that should do it. One more thing I wanted to check here. Okay, yeah, we're done with that. Okay. Anyway, let's see. I do believe that in online content reader review, I did stick that broadcast reader example there too, additionally, just as another place so that you can look at that and reference that. I would like you to take a look at it in greater detail. I think you'll be better prepped for Tuesday then if you do that. So consider that a reading assignment. It won't take long, but you've got that, your AP style quiz, and the broadcast style exercise. So let's see here. I think that's more or less all that I have for announcements. So let me go in. I'll take that document that I told you we were going to use. Here we go. In my estimation, let me moving my camera, and let me make this just a little bit larger. There we go. You should know that when we're talking about broadcast writing, broadcast news, that is my background. I was in a broadcast newsroom, and so my experience is just that. It is my experience, and I know that for some of you who work at NewsLink, Phil Bremen is the faculty advisor for NewsLink. He may have a different set of standards. So what I'm getting at is that there may be some points in here, ways in which I was taught that may be different than how you've been taught. And that is common. That's normal. So if there is in fact conflict, bring that to my attention on Tuesday, and we'll try to negotiate that, talk about that, because there are different ways of doing this. But I'm going to try to give you the basics based off of how I was coached and how I was taught as a broadcast local news reporter. So, in my estimation, broadcast writing can be summarized, compartmentalized into 5 C's. Broadcast writing is clear, it is conversational, it is concise, current, and correct. So those are your 5 C's that guide the tenets of broadcast news writing, in my humble opinion. Now, each one of those will dig in, more deeply based off of stylistic points that I think you need to be aware of and that you need to incorporate into your broadcast writing. But even before we get into the writing, first thing you need to remember is that when we're talking about broadcast in a traditional sense, broadcast is a passive medium. In that the information is actually read to you. I mean, and then on the receiving end, in a traditional sense, I'm talking about, you're passively receiving the information as you view it, as you hear it. So some of these style points are related to that idea that you don't always get more than one crack at it. Now, when we're talking about YouTube videos and whatnot, sure, you can pause it, you can go back and watch it again, absolutely. What we're trying to aim for is trying to find a way to produce content that can be delivered the first time, the correct time, or correctly the first time. And so that's what we're trying to get you to do, or trying to get you to think in that way. And so when I say it's clear, yeah, obviously we want it to be clear so that it is simplistic, that it's easily understood at the first attempt. And so avoiding nondescript terms. And so some examples of this in order to keep it clear. If we're talking about a big fire, well, what is big? Now, some of this stuff you're going to find is very much parallel to what I was talking about, what I've been saying to you as we've gone through print. Both event-based and feature news writing. So some of these concepts still apply even though we're talking about a different medium. So there is that crossover appeal that will happen from time to time. This is one of them. When we talk about a big fire, what the hell does that mean? So quantify it, qualify it. When we're talking sports, this happens all the time. Epic match or epic game. What does that mean? What is epic? I'm a tennis player and I am always shocked in a way when people seem surprised that a men's match goes the 5th set. That, oh, now it's suddenly an epic match because it went the full 5 sets, of the tennis match. It's supposed to be best of 5. If the two guys split the first 2 sets, there's supposed to be a deciding 5th set. That's the way it's supposed to be played. So, I mean, I don't know that makes it epic. However, okay, 5 years ago at Wimbledon, 2 guys, an American and a Frenchman, went into the 5th set, which is normally supposed to be played up to 6 games. That's it, 6 games. Whoever wins that many first will get the 5th set, wins the match. These guys went 70-68. And so, you have to win by two games. So, like 6-4 or 6-3 or 6-2 or 7-5, something like that. Well, these guys went back and forth all the way to 70-68. And that's a record that probably will never get broken ever again. There's your qualification. And in some ways, that's a quantification too, because it actually involves numbers. 70-68 in the 5th set for a tennis match, a men's tennis match, that probably will never be duplicated again. That makes it epic. That does. But just a standard 5th set match in a men's tennis tournament, I don't know that really qualifies as epic. When we're talking weather, that was my other context for the newsroom. I was a forecaster. Massive storm heading toward east central Indiana. Well, there again, what does that mean? If it's a winter storm, are we talking ice? Are we talking snow? How much snow? Are we talking wind, blizzard-like conditions? We need to quantify or qualify that. And so just like in the other media we've examined thus far, in terms of how to write effectively within that media, you need to be clear, avoiding these vague, nondescript terms. So this will wrap up the first part, and then I'll pick up right where I left off in part 2.